Hello, so welcome to another reading vlog. I had a plan for this reading vlog, but already I feel like the plan is shaky. Firstly, I will say I'm still in recovery from like the most awful contact dermatitis that I had in my last vlog, if you saw that. So I won't be wearing any makeup during this because I'm too scared to wear any. I will at some point be washing my hair, which is going to require some bravery on my part because I'm a little bit scared that it's gonna set off my contact dermatitis again. But anyway, that is not related to reading, although it probably will affect what reading I'm doing or how I'm doing it. So my plan for this week was to read some books because I have a couple of books that I have both physically and I have the audiobooks from the library. And so I thought normally I read like a couple of books at a time because I'm normally reading a physical book and an audiobook. But since I have these books as both, I thought, well, I can just read one book at a time, which I actually haven't done much for a long time. So I thought, let's do that. Let's try that and see what it's like. But I did go for a run this morning and I did start the audiobook of Gifted and Talented by Olivie Blake, and the run wiped me out. I was so tired. So I don't know that I'm going to be going for many runs, and normally I only really listen to audiobooks when I'm out on runs or sometimes when I do housework. So actually, how much audiobook listening am I going to do? I don't know. That's the first problem with my plan. The second problem is that I started this and I don't know if I like it. So basically this is following these three siblings who are the adult children of this brilliant CEO for this magitech company. And all these children are kind of disasters. We have, I guess, I see them very well in this pictures. I'm trying to guess which one is Meredith. I feel like this one looks older, but also it would make sense for the younger one to be sitting down because she has back problems. Not exactly. Let's say, though, that this is Meredith. She is a CEO of her own company, and it's kind of like an Elizabeth Holmes situation where they've made this app that will help people with depression and mental health issues, but it doesn't really work. She's faked all her results, and that's kind of about to cause a lot of trouble. She's about to get found out for that. As well, the brother is a failed politician with this marriage that's kind of a sham, and he secretly is part of this threesome, and he's a disaster. Not a great guy. And then the youngest sister, let's say it's this one. Actually, one thing, I did just pick up the ebook just before I started this vlog and read a little bit of it. None of the names are spelled how I thought they were. The youngest sister, I would have said her name was Ailey, but from the audio, what I heard on the audiobook, but it's spelled Eilidh. So I guess it's Irish something. Anyway, the youngest sister was a really successful ballerina. However, she had some kind of car accident and now she has some kind of demon inside her that will do things for her, but only at the cost of creating a plague and bringing about the apocalypse. So that's not great. So basically they all got disaster lives, but they've just found out that their father is dead and they've come together. So I think, wait, I'm actually just drop that on the floor. I'm actually 25% of the way through already. I would have said, so when I was finishing the audiobook or listening to the audiobook on my way home, I was thinking, I just don't know if I care about any of these characters enough. There's no plot. It's all about these disaster characters. And I was like, do I care enough to even continue? However, just before I started this vlog, I couldn't quite be bothered starting my vlog, and I was finishing off my book from my last vlog so I could finish that vlog off. And I couldn't be bothered vlogging, so I just started reading the ebook for this. And I don't know. It's kind of I don't care. When I'm not reading it, I think, I don't care. Why would I go back to that book? It's not an interesting plot. There is no plot. But when I'm reading it, I feel like it's quite addictive. So I guess I'll keep going. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how far I get through that before I get sick of it. I'm not sure I'm going to make it the whole way through. It's very long. 500 pages. I've just remembered though that the book has pictures, so I need to make sure that I keep looking up the pictures so that I get the benefit of that, since I did get the book from the library. Other books that I do have, I also have The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. So this is the final book in the library trilogy there was something about the first book that was amazing, and a lot of the themes in this book is really interesting, but I also don't necessarily like the execution of these, although this one is a lot shorter than I was expecting. So I also have the audiobook for that. So I guess that's another book for me to read once I decide what I'm doing with this. And then if I have time, I also have Wolf's Brother by Megan Lindholm, which is a pen name for Rob and Hobb. This is the second book in a duology last week. Actually the week before, but in my last vlog, I read the first book, The Reindeer People. To be honest, I went to the library this morning while I was on my run, and I thought I would get this book from the library to read it. And when I was there, I was like surprised, why do they only have this book and not the first book in the duology? Do you know why they don't have it at the library? Because I have it out. I don't know why I forgot that. Anyway, it's maybe a sign that my brain is not the best at the moment. But hopefully I will still, well, I'm just going to basically spend 90% of my time on this armchair reading. I am still addicted to Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Last night I was totally dreaming in Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Adventure Island? I think it's Island Adventure. Anyway, last night I was dreaming in that game. So I'm probably also going to spend a decent amount of time playing that. But hopefully, if I'm honestly not doing much else other than sitting here, relaxing, recovering, I should still be able to kind of get through all of these. So I guess I'll update you when I have read some more. Okay, so I realized that my fear of makeup is actually just a fear of foundation. So I've put a little bit of makeup on in the hope that I can find some kind of balance between things being easy and not destroying my face, but also like my self-esteem, self-image, whatever the hell is going on in my brain there. So maybe I can actually edit this footage without being like, ooh, what do I look like? It doesn't really matter. Also, my hair really needs a wash. I'm going to be brave and do it tomorrow. So maybe my face will fall off after that. Hopefully not. Anyway, I do find it funny with my reading. So this book, I was kind of thinking about DNFing it, but actually now, even though it's only the second day of the vlog, I'm already past halfway. Like, I think I've been flying through this quite quickly, and I don't really know why. I feel like part of it might be that the writing is very stream of consciousness. So once you kind of get into the flow of it, it's very easy to just kind of like flow further into the story. And the characters are interesting. Like, none of them are likable, but I think Olivie Blake has like a certain level of knowledge of human nature, and I do like the way that she presents it. Even if I do think parts of this are quite tedious, it goes on and on quite a lot. Like, I don't know that it needed to be this long. And in terms of plot, like, very little has happened. It's mostly learning about the characters, but there is just enough plot there to keep me interested. So we still don't really know, like, their father has died. We still don't really know who he's leaving his inheritance to. There has been some drama with the will, where there's two versions of the will that the lawyers are kind of like fighting over which one is the actual real one. And it seems like the old lawyer is like, I don't think this new will is going to be taken very well by the children. So I think we're going to have a lot of drama. And the whole thing is drama, like just these weird relationships and like people who are in some ways super successful and super powerful and super rich, but also like complete disasters. Their lives are complete disasters. And I don't know, like in a lot of ways, this is almost just a contemporary. Like, there's very little fantastical elements in the story. And normally I don't like contemporaries, and I wouldn't say that this is going to be a favorite of mine, but there are still some lines that I really like. I don't know, maybe it's only Olivie Blake that could write in this particular way that would keep me interested in this kind of story. Or are there actually a bunch of stories like this that I could like? I don't know. I feel like I could probably only take one story like this and then I'll be ready for something completely different. Whereas like a good fantasy or sci-fi with like a cool complex plot and a lot of like themes and ideas, I could read a million of those in a row and not get sick of it. This, we'll see. I honestly feel like at any moment I could be sick of this and not care anymore. But also I want to see the fallout of what happens when they find out whatever's in the will. So I will continue this and maybe even finish it somewhat soon. We'll see. I'm still playing a lot of Hello Kitty Island Adventure, and it's kind of sunny at the moment, so we might try and enjoy it while it's sunny, even though it's freezing because it's the middle of winter here. But the rain is meant to be coming back, so we should enjoy the sun while it's here. And some of that enjoying the sun might be reading in my armchair in the sun. Some of it might be actually going out for a walk, because I don't know, maybe ready for a walk. We'll see.
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie, laying right beside me. I don't mind when it's just us two. That corner coffee shop we like to go. Late night walks with you to take me home. With you I never feel alone.
These little songs make me glad to call you mine. And you have got my head in the clouds. Oh,
1, 2, 3. All that I need is your body next to me on rainy days. Just need your company. Don't need to...
Hello. So yesterday, wait, I'm trying to use this microphone, but I feel like it's better when I talk right into it rather than when I clip it on me. So it probably doesn't make that much of a difference, but that's what we're going to do. Anyway, yesterday we did go to the lake, but it was freezing. Like, it was sunny, but not sunny enough, so it was freezing. And so we didn't really go out and enjoy the sun for that long because it wasn't that enjoyable. Then I did wash my hair, and so far my face has not melted off, which is amazing. I'm so happy about it. I actually did look at a bunch of the ingredients on the different things that I had used since I got sick, or since I got the contact dermatitis on my face. And I think I worked out that after I'd been sick for one day already, I actually used a different shampoo, a shampoo I thought I had used in the past, but maybe I hadn't. And one of those ingredients is a little bit suspect for me based on an allergic reaction I've had before. So now I think it's that shampoo. However, that definitely means that my main sickness, like separate from my face problem, was actually a day before that happened. And it frustrates me because I've had this happen before where I've had like eczema on my face and I go to the doctor for a separate problem and all they want to treat is your face because they see your face and they're like, oh, that's a problem, we'll fix that. And I'm like, no, but this is a problem, but this is not the problem that's like causing me to be here. Like, I'm actually dying on the inside, not just on my face. And it's frustrating because I just feel like as soon as you have anything going on your face, they won't treat any other symptoms. And so I feel like actually I had something else going on, and maybe I still have something else going on, or like something that I'm recovering from. And I couldn't get it treated when I went to the doctor because they just wanted to treat my face. Anyway, that's very annoying. But let me tell you about my reading, because I did finish off Gifted and Talented early this morning. And I still think large parts of this were very rambly, like way more rambly than they needed to be. Like, just some bits went on, and I was like, none of this is important to the story. But I mean, is any of this important to the story? Not really, because it's not really that kind of book. It's more a book full of just characters angsting over their lives and like wishing that they could be loved and trying to prove that they're worthy, whatever that means. And I guess kind of learning that it doesn't mean anything and that happiness isn't like just some simple thing. Like, I like the lessons of this, and some of the lines in this were amazing. And I also like some of the characters' plot lines I really liked. Like, actually, I kind of teared up in one bit with Arthur and Gillian. I keep pronouncing it wrong in my head because it's Gillian with a G, but I know it's Gillian because the audiobook was Gillian. So there is a benefit to have had started this with the audiobook. However, in the end, I mostly read this via ebook. It's weird. I kind of prefer to read via ebook rather than physical book. Maybe not always, but a lot of the time. And like once I've started reading something via ebook, I kind of don't want to mess up the stats and change to another format. But also, like, I think I like this more when I read it with my eyes as opposed to when I listened to the audiobook. I do think the audiobook narrator was good. I don't think they quite got Olivie's flow, but they were pretty close. Like, I'm thinking about Olivie Blake's short story anthology, Januaries. Olivie Blake actually narrated some of those stories herself, and I remember listening to them and being like, oh, this narrator has perfectly captured Olivie Blake's voice and the way that she would read this story. It was because it was her. And I think she actually could have done this slightly better, although maybe not. Some bits she would have done better, some bits maybe not. But I just think this kind of story, the reason it has an impact is that certain lines will just feel so relevant and true. And it's those certain lines that I feel connected to. And I don't think they necessarily hit as well via audiobook versus when you're reading them and you can kind of like stop and appreciate those lines that really mean something to you. What else about this book? I did find it interesting. One of the main characters is Meredith, and from everyone else's perspective, I found her very annoying. I really didn't like her, and she's kind of meant to be unlikable, but when I was in her head, I still wanted her to get what she was trying to get, and I was still on her side, which was quite well done. There is also another character in here that we don't meet till about halfway through, and they have a young child. And all of that was, I think, quite clearly like a self-insert of Olivie Blake's own experience with having a young child. So I think if you're a mother of a young child, or have been, you'll find those bits probably quite relatable. Maybe. I mean, I guess everyone experiences motherhood slightly differently, but I think some of it is probably universal. But at the same time, I guess it did fit with the other parts of the book in that it is about love and worthiness, and it is quite a different perspective of it. But at times, I definitely felt like those bits didn't feel as well connected to the rest of the story. But maybe that's just because I am not and have never been a mother and am not really interested. But I think, if anything from this book, it'll be Arthur and Gillian that I continue to think about. I think their part of the story was the most compelling. I definitely don't think this needed to be 500 pages long. But that said, I read this in 3 days, so it wasn't exactly hard to get through. So anyway, since I finished this, I will now move on to The Book That Wouldn't Burn. And I have to be honest, I'm thinking about not even doing the audiobook for this either, because I kind of feel like the audiobook will make this one easier to get through. I read the 2 previous books in the series mostly via audiobook, but I think sometimes because of that, I miss some of the details, and there are a fair amount of details in this book or in this series as I've experienced it so far, and I don't really want to miss them. I think that will stop me from properly appreciating it. And to be honest as well, I'm not really sure when I'm next going to go on a run, because my Fitbit is telling me every day, take it easy, you've been working really hard, and I have not been, but my resting heart rate is not happy, and I think I'm just still in recovery mode. So maybe I won't listen to audiobooks for a little while. Maybe we'll just focus on reading physically. But if I'm just spending a lot of time recovering, we should have plenty of time for reading physically in this lovely armchair. And I think as well, we're meant to be having some rainy days coming. And I have my beautiful window here with my lovely view and all my trees. So should be a good time. This series, anyway, if I haven't told you about it. So this is the 3rd book in the library series where we're following, I always forget if it's Lavera or Lavira. Let's call her Lavera. I listened to the audiobook and then I still forget the characters' name pronunciations. So she was living out in the dust, and then through unexpected circumstances ended up coming to the city where there is this big library full of like all the knowledge of civilization, and she trains as like a librarian. And then along the way, she also eventually meets up with this other guy who's living with his siblings. They are trapped in this room of the library and they can't leave. And there's some weird things about the library. And I really liked the reveal in the first book. Was so well done. I don't think the rest of the series has quite lived up to that one reveal. That one reveal was masterful. And the rest of the series, given that this book is a lot shorter than the first book, I kind of feel like the main story was the first book, and then the rest of this is kind of just pulling everything together. maybe that's not fair. I did also look at the very beginning of this. There is a recap in the beginning. Thank goodness, because it has been a while since I read the second book. And as I said, I listened to the audiobook. I think I missed some details, so I definitely am going to need that recap. Hello. So it's now Sunday, and I'm trying to think about how with Gifted and Talented, I was like, it took me 3 days to finish it because I really just did it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I started this on Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you would think maybe I would be finished this too because it is shorter. However, no, I haven't updated you because I'm only I am now 120 pages in. I just feel like I've lost track of time somehow. Maybe we did some other things. I know I did convince Chase to watch Supernatural one night and we spent the whole night watching that. I've watched it before, but I'm making him watch a whole thing. We're kind of halfway through season 4 at the moment and I'm loving it. I don't know that he is, but I am. So that was some of the time. I think a lot of the rest of the time I've just been playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I did do some video stuff. Hence why I'm at my desk currently, because I was just doing computer stuff. But I haven't been reading as much, and I don't know if it's just because I've been addicted to my game and doing other things, or is it because I'm not as addicted to this book as I was to Gifted and Talented, which is weird because I would say this is a better book than Gifted and Talented, depending what you're looking for, of course. Actually, what I think the problem is that this is more of an ideas and a plot book. However, it's spending an awful lot of time in the character part of the story, but it's not doing it in that angsty, addictive way that wouldn't fit in this at all. But that's the addictiveness that Gifted and Talented had. This, I don't know. It's also part of the thing with this is all our characters there's 3 different groups of characters doing different things. And I just, at this point, don't really see what resolution we're working to. Different people are working towards different things. Are any of those things the right thing? I don't know. How are they even really going to achieve any of those things? I don't know, because they're all kind of in this library, and the way that the library works is strange and kind of unknowable, or most of our characters don't really fully understand the library. Even the characters that kind of do understand it probably don't fully understand it either. And so it's kind of like they're just off on these adventures, these separate adventures, and then what? I don't really know, and I don't know that it's investing me enough in what's happening. And it's frustrating because the themes in this are great, and there were some really great lines, and also I was frustrated because I'm reading it physically in a library book, so I can't annotate it. I kind of wish I had the ebook. I probably would have read more of this if I had the ebook as well, because I did have some early morning ebook reading time and late night reading time, which I don't like to have the light on, so I read my ebook, so I didn't progress on that. That's part of the reason why I'm not as far through this. But part of it is just I'm not feeling the need to pick it up and see what happens next, even though some of it is so well written, and the way the story is kind of put together makes it such a great way to have discussion around certain topics, and the way that it describes some of those topics is really well done. And I'm thinking about what exactly it was saying, and I've forgotten exactly now. And I did take some photos on my phone, but I take photos of everything on my phone, so I'll never find it. Oh, I did find it immediately. There was one bit where a guy was talking about how free and easy access to information should solve every problem, but it doesn't, because people find their own wells of poison to drink from. So there's kind of that kind of conversation about how having the internet and all this information and all this knowledge about history doesn't seem to be making our world a better place. And then the other page I screenshotted, this is the problem with just taking a photo of pages. I don't even know, what did I like about this? It's kind of about destiny and romance, and the fact that maybe you don't have to wait for this magical fated person. Maybe most romantic pairings could just be between any 2 people that happen to get along, as long as you're willing to make it work. Anyway, I quite like the way that it described it, probably better than I just did. So I'm liking parts of this. I am a bit concerned about the direction it's going in, because we also got introduced to a new character, and she's in this part of the world that to me is just a little bit too much like our own world for my liking, the history of our world. and I'm a bit worried about how that's going to link into the rest of the story, and I'm not going to tell you any more about it because if I go into any more details, even later in the vlog when I find out what's going on with that, it'll be so much spoilers, I'm so sure. Even what I've said so far, I tried to word very carefully so it's not spoilers. Anyway, it's Sunday. I really just want to play Hello Kitty Island Adventure for the rest of the day, but I will try to pull my brain out of that addictive state and actually play some of this. I am at a bit in the game where I'm trying to collect all the critter furniture and I have to catch all these little critters, and it's quite grindy, I guess, but still enjoyable. But I might try and break that up with reading bits of this, and we'll see how far I can get through this. I have talked already for this update, but I actually have another thing to talk about. I also have been reading Wolf's Brother, so this is the book I've been reading as an ebook, either first thing in the morning or late at night. I think maybe only one morning so far, early in the morning, or two. I usually get more read if I just when I wake up, read for an hour before I get up and I don't touch my phone. So much better for me mentally, and also I get quite a lot of reading done, so I quite like it. So, Wolf's Brother, as I said, I think at the start of this vlog, this is the sequel to The Reindeer People, and it pretty much just jumps back in to the same story, except now these reindeer people are traveling south. They're leaving their winter grounds and going to the summer grounds or something, to be honest. I always get confused because so many fantasy books written by Northern Hemisphere authors make the assumption of colder in the north, hotter in the south, and it's always backwards for me because I live in New Zealand where it's hotter in the north, colder in the south. And so sometimes all of that breaks my brain. Anyway, they're traveling to this other location. That's the main thing you need to know. And there's a lot of interpersonal drama as our main character is kind of integrating into this reindeer people, but there's a lot of longer term interpersonal issues in this tribe as well as this can I say that without spoilers? Not really. There's another guy that's kind of joined the tribe as well that's causing confusion. What I'm really liking at the moment is the introduction or the focus on the tribesman's daughter. She is a little bit off kilter, makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but I really like her. And I'll be interested to see what Robin Hobb does with her in this book. I'm going to always say Robin Hobb because I think of these as Robin Hobb books, even though it says Megan Lindholm on the cover. They feel like Robin Hobb books to me. I'm much more invested in this story. This is a story where I feel like I'm there with the characters, whereas this one is a story where I can appreciate a lot of what it's doing, but I feel like I'm reading a story. I'm not there in the story, if you know what I mean. And Gifted and Talented, I was there in the story. So I'm only about 20% of the way through this one so far, so I will be continuing that as well. I kind of meant to finish this vlog today, but as usual, I'll probably just keep it going until I finish these books, whenever that is. Hello, good evening. So I am snuggled up on my armchair and I'm about to play Hello Kitty Island Adventure because that's what I do most evenings at the moment. And I'm quite happy with it. We did actually go out today and I was thinking about going back to running soon, but anytime we go out and walk around, I remember, nope, I still need to rest a little bit. And to be honest, that time of the month is coming anytime soon, so we'll probably just put off running until after that. Also, this probably looks different. I finally got a new SD card for my new DJI Osmo camera that I bought a little while ago, when I was in the middle of dying. And I think this SD card is going to be better. I'm a little bit worried that it'll last really well until I get confident with it and then have problems again, but it's on the recommended list of SD cards, so it should be fine. But also, as soon as I got that back, I remembered I don't know what I'm doing with this camera, so we will go back to experimenting with that, I guess. Anyway, since I'm here, I should update you on my reading. I've been reading this and I've actually managed to get up to page 224. So I think I've got about 150 pages left to go. And honestly, I don't have that much to say about what's been happening. It just kind of feels like things are happening, but I'm not really sure that any of what's happening really matters. Our characters are in danger at different times, but is anything they're doing really leading to them learning anything significant or doing anything significant that's moving them towards their goals? I don't really think so. I mean, I'm still loving the way that it's representing and portraying certain themes. And I really do think the themes in this book are so relevant to a lot of the disasters that are going on in our world at the moment. Like, so much of it is about these like cycles of violence and destruction of civilizations, and like this constant pattern we seem to be in of like always creating enemies of different groups of people, and like not learning from the past. Not learning from the past is a big theme of this book. And so like for that reason, I want this book to be amazing so that I can recommend it to everyone, and like so that everyone could read it and really get all the messages out of this. But I'm just not sure the book is amazing. Parts of it. But the overall plot, I'm not sure. I guess we'll see where it goes. I will also admit, last night while I was playing Hello Kitty, I did listen to the audiobook for a little while, and it was okay, but I definitely had to, well, I mean, probably it wasn't helpful that I was playing a game at the same time, but I had to like keep reminding myself, pay attention to what's happening. And like, I think it kind of helps sometimes if I just ask myself, so like what's happening at the moment? And if I don't know, then I need to go back a bit. So I think I paid attention well enough. But I definitely think I prefer it when I'm reading it physically, but I just don't know if I like it enough more enough. What's the right words there? I don't know if it's enough of a difference reading it physically for me to not use the convenience of the audiobook. But I'm probably going to watch some booktube tonight while I play my game instead. And then tomorrow, maybe I'll try and find some time. I'm mostly still just sitting on my armchair, relaxing, except for when like I have to do things or when I'm doing booktube stuff. So I should be able to get through 150 pages tomorrow, right? I think so.
Pick it up from the top, hit restart. So far it's been so hard to live, but lately something in me changed. Let it go, let it be. Don't fight your way back in. Let me go, let me be. It's time that we begin.
Hello. So I noticed in my last clip that it never looks, to me at least, like I'm looking at the camera. And I know part of it is that all the time I look down at the screen. But even when I'm looking at the camera, I don't feel like it looks like I'm looking at the camera. Anyway, I was just going to say, we just went out into the garden. We kind of have like, we live on the top of a hill kind of, and then there's a big down the back of the hill that's also our property, and we hardly ever go down there. So we went down there, and I'll put in some B-roll of all the lovely flowers. I'll probably have put it before this. It's just nice to be able to go out and wander around nature without even leaving your property. But yeah, we don't go down there very often, especially in the winter when it's cold and damp and bleh. Anyway, why I started this camera is I did actually want to tell you one thing about this. So I haven't finished it yet. I think I must have read about 50 pages last night just before bed. And the bit I got up to, I should have filmed this on a tripod so I could hold the book at the same time without having to hold the camera at the same time. I got up to chapter 35 and also my hair keeps getting in my mouth because I didn't even try to brush it or tidy it before I filmed. At the beginning of every chapter in this book, there is like a little short snippet of a book. Most of the books are like books from the library in this world, but some of them you can tell are like kind of like alternate versions of books from our world. And I wish I had the time and the energy almost to go through, because I think actually all of them probably are, and I'd love to go through and try and like map them and like work out what every single one is referencing. And they're always, of course, relevant to the story. I really need to fix this hair. It's pissing me off. But chapter 35 starts with, always kick a man when he's down, I say. It's the best chance you'll get. And that's from Prince of Fools by Mark Lawrence. And honestly, the audacity of quoting your own book in your book like it's a book from the world. And really, given that this library holds like all information, maybe his books are in the library, does that mean there's a book in the library about the library? It could all get very meta, this whole book. Anyway, it really was. I was about to fall asleep when I got to this chapter, but I got to that and I was just like, what are you up to, Mark Lawrence? I don't know. I'm kind of like I think it's ridiculous, but I'm also impressed. Maybe that's how I feel about this book, because things are still happening, but like, I just don't know if I care, but I am enjoying what it has to say. I think that's how I feel about this book. Anyway, I tried really hard in that clip to look where I'm supposed to look, so let's see if it looks like I'm looking where I'm supposed to look. And I will still try and finish this off, although I just filmed my TBR, so I'm going to try and edit that up and get that up before this vlog. And then I'm also going to want to play Hello Kitty Island Adventure. So am I going to have time to finish the book? We'll see. Okay, so I have finished the book that held her heart, which means I finished the library trilogy, and to be honest, I'm fairly underwhelmed, and it's frustrating. Like, it's probably not surprising. There's been plenty of times in this book series where I have felt quite underwhelmed and kind of like just not feeling it. But I'm frustrated about it because I feel like this book series had so much potential and it has so much to say that's so relevant and important. And like, sometimes it says it so well, like it has some really great lines. But the actual plot, I think, just doesn't quite come together. It rests too heavily on the idea that this library is magical, and it's just a bit too like soft and abstract and unknown for me. So then at the end it just felt like all these random things were happening without really any explanation. And I also struggled to get invested in the characters. Like I like them, but I never really feel like emotionally connected. And a lot of the relationships that it's setting up, a lot of them I never really bought into the idea that these people really do care about each other to the depth that they apparently do based on some of their actions. So like the plot and the characters, not really. The ideas and some of the lines, I did like. Another thing that was quite frustrating me at the end, it's kind of in some ways like quite a lot happening. I felt like I wanted to be rushing through it, just like reading it as fast as I could. Like that was the pacing I wanted it to have based on what was happening. I wanted to be like flying through it and being like, oh my God, I need to know what's going to happen. But so much of what was happening was confusing and not necessarily written in a fast-paced way. Like, it felt like, the intensity felt like it should be fast-paced, but it wasn't fast-paced. And so I wanted to be flying through it, but I had to keep stopping to be like, wait, what's happening? Why is this happening? How does this make sense? Am I actually meant to be understanding this, or am I supposed to be just going with the idea that the library is magic and it's making these things happen? And then the very ending, it felt like one of those epilogues. You know how books have epilogues and you're like, I didn't need this. This is one of those epilogues where you're like, oh cool, a happy ending in the future that doesn't really feel earned or important. Like, you're giving me an ending and it isn't the ending I wanted. And I'm not just talking about certain things happening. I'm talking about like the information that I wanted. I'm so sad because there are so many things about this that are great, and I totally get why some people do love the series. I haven't actually looked up many reviews for this particular book, so I'll have to have a look and see how other people are feeling about this. But I think I feel pretty similarly how I feel about a lot of Mark Lawrence's series. Like, I like his ideas and his setups, and then the actual execution never quite feels like it pulls it off to me. I can definitely see that some people would love this, but you have to be okay with like a really soft kind of unexplained magic system. You have to be, I don't know, maybe more character-based readers would buy into these characters a lot quicker than, or a lot more readily than I'm willing to. Anyway, I'll think a bit more about this one, and I have been trying to do series reviews whenever I finish a series, but I'm massively behind. But one day maybe I'll do a series review of this. So the only other thing that I was reading was Wolf's Brother. I've decided, like, I haven't read any more of this since I last talked about it, and I'm just going to keep it as my ebook book for the evenings and the mornings, because otherwise I won't have an ebook for the next week. So I will be continuing this and finishing it off probably in my next vlog, because I think this vlog is long enough. Even though I think in this vlog I just read this, and it was more than a week. What day is it? Thursday. But I started it on, no, I think I started it on Monday. So it's been a week and a half and I've read these 2 books. I flew through this, even though I had so many problems with it. I don't necessarily think it's that great a book, but I felt more emotionally connected to this, so I kind of flew through it. This one probably has more to think about, and I would like to say that that's why I went slower with it, but it was also just that I wasn't feeling as invested in the emotions and the characters or in the plot. So that's a shame, because I don't know, I haven't given either of these ratings yet, and I feel like maybe they will come out kind of similar ratings just because they both have completely different strengths. But I wish I had been able to read a bit more this week, to be honest. I don't know where my time went, but I guess that's life. Anyway, if you have read either of these, I would love to chat with you about them down in the comments, or let me know what you've been reading lately. Do subscribe if you'd like to see more of my bookish videos. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.